It's ENCE versus SSG. Tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your kids. Get the whole family round for this one. It's a rematch. A rematch of the OWCS Stage 2 finals. And what a finals it was, if anyone remembers that. ENCE were in the lead. They'd solved the Symmetra problem. They had SSG on the ropes. And then Psycho came in. And then Psycho and Sparker started taking over. And it all changed. It all changed. And that's the series we've got ahead of us now. ENCE versus Space Station. The big one. The one I think a lot of people have all been waiting for. That rematch. The current power levels. If you watched Uncoachable before the new episode that's out today with head coach Grimzo, head coach of ENCE, you would have seen that maybe the current Scrimbucks lean the way of ENCE. They've been causing a lot of teams problems, even maybe a Korean team or two some problems. And as such, I don't know if you'd say they're favourites in this, but they certainly got to be in contention. We saw both teams play already today. Space Station had the unbeaten showdown, them against Twisted Minds, and they came out on top, but needed a little bit of fortune and that icon wall to get it over the line. But ultimately, a win is a win. ENCE, meanwhile, were thrown a bit of a curveball by R8 Esports. Dive, ball, coming out a lot from Alisu. But ENCE weathered that storm as well. And they set themselves up for this showdown in the next 10 minutes. It will be kicking off. A lot of eyes obviously going to be put on the draft. ENCE had the infamous poor draft against Ataraxia. We'll see which way both teams choose to go here. Again, the nature of ENCE, since they can't use Chase because they can't get him out of Ukraine. They're leaning into Vestler for all their practice. They're putting all their weight on his shoulders. And to be fair against R8 Esports, Vestler carried everyone effortlessly. But now Space Station will be a much different test, and what SSG might do in the draft is try and pull it to dive maps. What's important though, and I can show you the matchup now, but what's important is that ENCE have picking advantage here. So ENCE are going to pick maps 1 and maps 3, and SSG will pick maps 2. And why this is so key is, while on hybrid, it's hard to necessarily avoid maps where dive are viable because of, you know, there's Hollywood in there and there's Pariso in there. You can't ban both of them. So SSG should always be able to get one through. Meanwhile, on the other maps, on the Control, on the Escort, there are some very dive-favoured maps. But ENCE can shift it away from those maps because they get to pick. SSG will obviously try to interfere with that as best they can with their bans. But definitely the better side to be for ENCE and could have a significant result on the series. So we'll see how SSG's draft goes around that. Initial expectations are that ENCE normally do pick Oasis and they run the Diva Cass Torb on City Centre, and they run it with a lot of effect, a lot of success. SSG run their own version of that, but with a Ram instead of a Diva, so it might be an interesting matchup. We've never really seen that comp go up against itself or a version of itself before, so that could be interesting if we go to Oasis. Then, on the other side of it, you would expect ENCE to ban Pariso, just take that away from Space Station, and that gives Space Station pretty free reign. They normally pick Eichenwald is the map they won against Twisted Minds, the map they won against Ataraxia. Both of those very close series, though. But maybe against a team like ENCE, they're just going to get a Brawl Mirror, and maybe that suits SSG a lot more on Eichenwald, and they might be happy to do another Eichenwald today. Once we get to the third and final map, very much expect ENCE to maybe ban Route 66. Maybe they don't want to go to Shambali because SSG always have such a good Shambali. But then where do they go instead? Do they go Junkertown? The map they ultimately lost in map 7 of the Grand Finals. Do they go back there? Normally, we actually get Route 66 as much as it's the map ENCE banned the most, it's also the one they've picked the most as well in a bit of a weird overlap. So we'll see which way that series goes. One of the big things that was true, and I can see people bringing it up in chat already, one of the things that was true was that in those grand finals, Psycho coming in helps a lot because the TP stuff wasn't working, but also it enabled Spark to play a more aggressive role, flanking a lot more, and ENCE struggled to deal with it. But in some of the scrims we saw post that final, we saw Crimzo write the fateful words in chat, care, Sparker, flank. And then they started caring the flank. They started shutting down Sparker. They started expecting his movements, being one step ahead of the young Swede. And when they did that, SSG started to struggle, and maybe that was the first in the line of dominoes of ENCE finding their way to scrim success. We'll see how that translates today. Obviously, SSG and both ENCE, not two teams to stand still to develop with a meta. We've seen a few curveballs. We've seen Psycho play in the venture. So a lot of success. And we'll see if he pulls out the same. Obviously, I think Oasis is really possible for that first map pick. Once we get into that portion of the series. Meanwhile, on the ENCE side, we've also seen a little bit of variety coming out since Crimzo has taken the reins from Goomba. One thing Crimzo talked about on Uncoachable was the idea that the environment is now a bit more laid back. They're still taking it seriously, they're still trying, but there's a bit more freedom in their play. And as such, we've also seen Kev swap in to different roles a little bit. We saw him roll out Farah on Oasis on the university stage there. We've seen him play Sojourn, we've seen him play Widow, we've seen him play Mei. He's certainly swapping it around a lot more, and he's caused SSG problems in the past. You remember that Widow defense where he went Midtown on Midtown third point defense? Kevster was a menace to SSG. And it's fair to say when Kevster's in the lobby, he's always a menace. A lot of star players on both sides here. I think really pound for pound across both rosters. Now, there's a lot of talent, a lot of experience, a lot of Overwatch League caliber players who quite literally were in Overwatch League. One player who wasn't in Overwatch League is, of course, Ghost91, mainly due to his age, but it means he comes in as the most inexperienced person probably in the lobby. Overall, Ghost91 was very much the promised, the next up BAP for a long amount of time. And I don't know if he's necessarily lived up to those expectations yet. I think certainly when he was first coming into the roster, when he was having to play a bit of Kiriko and stuff, he certainly obviously seemed a weak point, which is why Goomba brought Crimzo in for him. Likewise, the main cited reason for Crimzo over Ghost was Crimzo's level of comms, how much he contributes to the team, which Ghost doesn't really have. And Crimzo talks on the podcast that they've not really truly solved that problem yet. They're having to try to fill the gaps and work on it still. As such, when we've seen Ghost play in some of these more high caliber games, there's been a few times where he's just been picked a little bit randomly before the fight. A few really painful deaths to deal with. But when he's played against a few more of the other teams, maybe outside the elite category in SSG, he's actually looked pretty good. He looked very competent against RA Esports earlier. I think in general, Ghost talent is clear to see. This is obviously just a much higher pressure situation than some of those earlier FACEIT games. And we'll see if Ghost is up to the test here. Obviously, his counterpart Landon is world-renowned for his Baptiste. We saw him come out with a massive clutch for their Twisted Mind series earlier today. And they'll need more from their man at the back. Likewise, also in fine form was Sparker in that earlier series. Quartz certainly gave him a run for his money. Quartz did everything he possibly could on that Icon World. But Spark found a lot of opening picks. It was a key to their success on Oasis, a key to some of their success on attack on Icon World especially as well. So Sparker no slouch. And he's been very much the key man for SSG in their sort of retaking of the crown in OWCS Stage 2. We've only got 2 minutes as we go into this final countdown. So I think it would be fair for predictions. Predictions would be fair. Now, with the way the series is like to go in terms of maps, I think ENCE actually have maybe more of a chance than one might expect. I think the expectation for most people, the vibe from the public, is that SSG are the champs. You know, they're the champs, they're the top dog, and they'll keep being the top dog in this series. Currently unbeaten in FACEIT. We can take a look at the standings here, but SSG are at top. 10 matches in. 10 wins in. ENCE 9-1. Obviously, ENCE's loss coming to Ataraxia. Twister's -1 loss coming earlier today to Spacestation Gaming. Ataraxia and Team Peps are hot on the heels, but Team Peps especially have never really looked particularly close to any of these elite teams. Team Peps seem to very much be the tier break in terms of they'll beat all the teams below them, but struggle a lot more against the teams in this sort of top 5 category. The Big 5, as everyone always calls them. But within this Big 5, I think people do very much see SSG and ENCE as the top 2. They're the 2 teams going to Dallas. The expectations of Europe and the whole EMEA region on their shoulders as they'll battle down the Koreans next week. Awfully close now. So what's also a bit of a subplot here and useful to see is what ENCE and SSG are playing. What comps are they on? We've seen a little bit of variation from SSG, a bit of Venture here, a bit of Torp here. We've seen ENCE thrown in a Farah, thrown in a Kev Sojin. Exactly what are they going to be on, and how well are they going to be playing in general as we approach this sort of final week of preparation? You got to remember as well, both of these teams, SSG and ENCE, will have to factor in travel to their next week. So the scrim time for both of these teams going into that is going to be quite limited. So a lot of what we see here might be ultimately what we get. We're into our final countdown. Lineups will be finalized, and then we'll go into the pick and ban phase. Then, of course, we can start all the action. Thank you very much, Ibanda, for the tier 1. That reminds me as well. Thank you, Cookie Jar, for the Prime. I think subscribed while I was getting water. But it's all appreciated. The support obviously helps me bring you the coverage of these games. Keep the FACEIT action coming. All of these VODs, if you've missed any of the earlier games and you want to go back and catch them, it will all be up on my YouTube at some point over the weekend, hopefully. And likewise, if you have any other interest in maybe catching up on all this FACEIT action that you feel like you've missed, there's VODs of loads of games, both from EMEA and North America, but there's also catch-up. So if you don't have time to watch a billion series of Overwatch every week, which is reasonable, then you can watch the catch-up series and you can maybe just stay a little bit informed of all the results and how the teams are doing as we go across. So we'll move into the lineup finalization stage, and then we'll move into the bans. Now, we'll be ENCE to ban first. They normally ban Nepal. Nepal also a particularly strong map for SSG, and it looks like we're going to go into that phase now. So ENCE to kick us off. An immediate ban on Samoa from ENCE. SSG to ban next. Now, SSG normally ban Oasis, sometimes Nepal themselves. Obviously, there's a bit of a disparity for these 2 teams as well in terms of what maps they've been practicing. ENCE's Samoa ban might just be very much because they've not been practicing it in preparation for Dallas. And might, therefore, obviously favour maps they've been more actively scrimming. Always a little bit scary to go up against such an accomplished opponent on a map you've not played all that much recently. So both teams a little bit hampered in terms of the ban system, in terms of the Dallas map pool. We're going to get the Oasis ban actually out of SSG, so they don't want to go in that route. Then ENCE's chance to pick. They do normally pick Oasis. ENCE now have a choice whether they go to Busan, which maybe isn't a great map of the type of comps they have available, or they go to Nepal, which is actually, obviously, a matchup that SSG have, again, a few neat strategies for. The Mayon Sanctum is maybe the go-to one. ENCE have decided the way the FACEIT bans work is we'll see them all at the end. We'll see them all at the end, so we get to see the bans, but the picks we'll see at the end. Thank you very much, Josmotus Jones. I appreciate the Prime. And it will be Priso and Iconwald taken out of the equation as the train arrives. A hype train is suitable, considering all the hype in this game. And it seems Hollywood and Midtown are left for SSG to choose from. Now, SSG normally actually ban Hollywood, so are SSG going to take us to Midtown now? I didn't see the exact order of those as I was reacting to the hype train. The hype train is hard to concentrate when there's a train arriving. But my expectation would be that ENCE banned Paricio and then SSG banned Eichenwald. Eichenwald, obviously, also what ENCE normally pick. So now SSG have a decision to take us to Hollywood or Midtown. Now, Midtown, potential for ENCE to run like a Bat Brig type comp there, or just take a Lucio Ram Mirror. Hollywood, maybe SSG could dive, but ultimately would it just be a Ram Mirror as well? A lot of the problems we've seen SSG run into Eichenwald was playing against dive. Especially against Twisted Minds, and obviously that's something that we really don't expect to see from ENCE in any form. And there's a lot of the same things that apply to Eichenwald in terms of how the first point is quite good for Brawl, but the second point is hard, but the third point's good again. Apply to Hollywood as well. So we'll see where they settled on. That was an interesting one. A lot of these map bans thrown up maps that maybe we wouldn't traditionally see these teams pick. Now ENCE get to ban first. Normally Route 66, take the dive map away, but also scary to leave Shambali open against Space Station. I imagine SSG will be very keen to pick between Route 66 or Shambali, whichever one is left open. But obviously ENCE gets to pick at, essentially. So it's possible that SSG, if SSG are clever, what they might do is either ban Junkertown or Rialto and leave Route 66 and Shambali open. ENCE always ban Rialto, actually. So actually, if ENCE ban Rialto, they might leave themselves in a pickle. Because if ENCE ban Rialto, Space Station could ban Junkertown. Yeah, so ENCE are going to ban Shambali. So ENCE will normally ban Junkertown here, so SSG will probably, yeah, ban Rialto. But this means ENCE will probably pick Junkertown then. Now you have to remember, Junkertown, not a map they're as familiar, played as much. So we'll go in, we'll get the lobby invite, which means we can hop on in here. ENCE will be on the left-hand side of the lobby. Space Station will be on the right-hand side. And we can tee ourselves up for the biggest fixture of the day. Everyone thought Twisted Minds SSG would be the biggest fixture of the day, but they squeezed in another one. They pulled it forward from future weeks. And they've given us an absolute treat of a day here. This is actually technically the round 13 fixture. And we'll get everyone in lobby here. All quiet in the match chat. It's all business right now. All business. As much as both of these teams do expect to qualify through the top 8, I think it's worth saying that. They'll both make it, I think. They'll make it to the playoff stage of this tournament. Never want to lose to your rivals in a public match. Going to be starting on Busan here. So as much as this is a little bit interesting, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what they choose to do, because we normally see double flex on some of this, but I think actually, there's not necessarily a need for either of these teams to play double flex. Thank you as well, Anum, for the 3 months in a row Prime. And my favourite Beatles album? My favourite Beatles album? I don't know. When I normally listen to the Beatles, I just listen on Spotify. So I sort of just listen to a selection of all of them. So I don't know. I don't really know what my favourite would be. My favourite album is maybe just the Beatles playlist on Spotify. I only got into the Beatles relatively recently compared to a lot of people. 2019 was my Beatles phase, which could count me as late to the party. I think that would count as late to the party. So I don't know where I would go for my my favourite one, honestly. Maybe that's a bit of a rubbish answer. Maybe I'll have a skim now while we wait for everyone to get into lobby. Let's see. A lot of pressure on me now to pick it live. Oh, maybe it's Lonely Hearts Club, actually. Is that a basic answer? I don't really know. But I think I'm leaning towards that one. 1967. And that brings us up nicely to the start of the map. ENCE will be on the left-hand side of your screen. SSG will be on the right. And Psycho In is the first one of note. One shot, one kill. If you're not familiar, that's Kevster in streamer mode. Not some hot new flex DPS talent. He is, in fact, the same old Kev. LA Gladiators legend. And we'll be starting on Downtown, so a map where dive is probably actually the preferred comp for a lot of teams. As we have good luck, have funds exchanged. Pleasantries in the chat before the big series. No surprises out of spawn initially. We'll see if they both stick Tracer. They both do stick Tracer. And we'll go into this first fight. Spark swinging aggressively and it combines. Oh, and again! Spark wasting no time at all, stamping his authority on this. Master and Vessler will play for the trade, but Landon is good with the lamp. Get himself safely tucked away on that high ground. And Kai already feeling the wrath of Sparker. Wasted no time. Wasted no time. Sparker was player of the match in the early series against Twisted Minds. He's making a bit of a case for himself already. ENCE are going to try and swing through this Mega Room here. Pressure onto Kev to force this recall. Astro and Psycho being very aggressive as Haddy is forced to form. Vestal's now got form advantage, can push SSG back to point here. They disengage low ground here, so you don't want to be trapped on the point here if you're SSG. You need to find a way to swing up, but Haddy is so low. Vestal doesn't want to let him reset. Haddy has to shield defensively. Kev drops down, kills Spark before the lamp. Casses are traded though, and Landon and Astro will take a chance to regroup with Haddy and try and push back up. But difficult to go up these steps, and Vessler will keep him pinned back in. Slow on the backline, forces him further back. Kev is above him, and he's bearing down on Landon, but he's jumped it. Meanwhile, Psycho's connected for Pulse Bomb, an easier one onto the Ram, but he's got it. Kev will be dealt with in the backline. Astro is hunting down the kill, and Astro and Landon, they dodge the Pulse Bomb. They deal with Kev. And Psycho overwhelms the front line with a Pulse Bomb of his own. And now, with nose ults being traded, we'll get onto the big ult fight. The big ult fight. Windows, high noons, beats, annihilations. A lot to be had. We'll probably start with the windows. The window trade can be pretty volatile if anyone hits for one tap. And oh! Spark's going to hit for one tap. Didn't even need the window. Slow on the cross, and Spark's able to combine. SSG so clean with that timing. But Vessler, he's not done. He's killed the backline. He's popped annihilation. Psycho trades it back with the help of the window. But these trades are going to allow ENCE to walk up a little bit more easily the next time. And this timing, this slow and Sparker peak timing whenever they cross from SSG, it's so devastating for so many teams. They're so good at it. Ghost is going to window back here. Devastating with a window of his own. Deals with Astro. And now they turn their attention onto the backline. But Spark is flanking. Will someone care him? Kev will care him. But meanwhile, Haddy has popped the annihilation. Trying to walk backwards. They have to cap a point. And Kev can do that thanks to that Spark kill. But SSG are not fully out of it here. Yeah, Pulse Bomb onto Ghost. No lamp available. And now they want more stagger kills. Vessler and Kev, they just need to live. Kev can stall out the point for a little bit here against Psycho. The rest of ENCE coming to join him. Kai's going to swing, so Psycho's going to join his team high ground. High noon back from Kai. Haddy trying to put pressure on B over the top. They're going for Landon. Astro has the beat to match. Landon has to give all the space to high ground. He's a little bit separate from his team as Spark high noon's back. ENCE will take the back step now. No ults coming up for either team. We'll just have a good old neutral to finish it here. Landon tucked up on this high ground. We'll be safe for now, but it's Kev who finds Astro. The slow is good this time from Vessler. They're trying to keep Spark pocketed on point. He will survive it, but the attention is on Haddy instead. Landon can't pocket both targets. Spark's going to rush him for the trade. Does manage to get one with the help of Psycho. Landon still sending down suppressing fire from the high ground. And ENCE win that crucial fight. And look how much advantage on Annihilation Vessel's now managed to get, because SSG only need one retake. But it's going to be a window versus annihilation situation. Chance for SSG to be aggressive, as Landon likes to do with his windows. But needs to be conscious. This annihilation might be coming through it here. Vessler's got eyes on him. Has to lamp early. Window boot back from Astro. Gives him space, but everyone's low. Shift not in time for Spark. They're going to lose one. Now the annihilation's coming. Now there's nowhere for Landon to go. Vessler timed it well. He DP'd the window. He came afterwards when Landon's attention was taken. And it's an important fight win from ENCE. As we go into this final fight, Hattie's going to have annihilation. Massa with a beat just behind and a high noon. Ways to deal with this annihilation. But as we saw from Vessler just then, annihilation is a tricky ult to deal with. Psycho's going to get the touch. Kev is waiting to mark. Half a clip onto Psycho already. His recall's going to be forced early. Psycho's going to need help with these next touches. Ghost and Kev are peeking him. Psycho needs help. Astro will get the next touch. They've moved towards point, and Hattie's going in with this annihilation. He's over the top. The beat saves the rest of ENCE. Behind in from Spark. Stabilizes, so the beat will fade. They'll get the flip. And they have to fight now. They have to find a way to touch. Massa's going to get it, though, but they lose Ghost in the meantime. No healing now. Kev is 1 HP. So little health on the side of ENCE. And SSG, they're grouped up. They're able to deal with it. And that kill just before the beat timing from Massa was so important. Good annihilations from both Rams. We saw them both get good value. Able to connect with those vulnerable backline targets. And the first round to SSG, as we find ourselves stranded at sea for now. But we find we'll be going to Sanctuary. Now, normally we'd have conversations about double flex and how do they rotate around the map? Can they keep the space? Who's the ball going to be marking? But in these teams, neither team would normally run it here. They might run some form of Lucio Kiri, potentially Winston, if they thought they were playing against an Anazen team. But both teams know each other very well. So they're both fully expecting the mirror. A slight variation from Kai to go Sojourn. Potentially longer angles to deal with. And Kev's actually going to go Soldier as well. So a bit more of a variation. We've talked more about seeing Kev on a variety of heroes. A few more niche picks. And he's going to be on the Soldier here. So wants to try and get himself an uncontested angle to flank here. Has to be conscious that Psycho, Astro have the chance to shut him down if he strays too far from his team. ENCE are going to rotate away from SSG for now. Happy just to play for their DPS. Happy just to be a shooty team with Vessler and Kim Point. You can see for now, Kai and Kev are going to take different angles. We're going to see Kev run into this Tracer. Wants to keep Psycho at bay. And somehow Landon's the first to die. But oh, Kev's been caught. Here comes Psycho. Here comes Astro. It's 4v4, but without their main source of healing. SSG are going to be forced to give the space here. Psycho not quite done yet, though. Will get himself behind. A chance onto Kai. Kai has Railbow. Has to be careful. ENCE are trying to walk forward, but Psycho's got him pinned in from behind. And Psycho gets the crucial trade. Then he's going to get Massa as well. All go for Psycho here. Now is the other side of Vessler. Vessler's life is really tricky. And a lost fight. Salvaged here by SSG and Psycho. They expected that ENCE aggression. They expected ENCE to keep walking forward, and Psycho puts himself in the perfect spot to punish it. Gets a free run up the back line. And the damage was done. So SSG get a quick recap. Landon's going to be slightly behind on window due to that early death. But both teams happy to anchor point. Kev has now gone onto the Tracer to mirror it here. And we'll be battling Psycho on the far right of our screen. And just forcing that recall out. And now they peek aggressively with the window. The lamp doesn't save Spark. Doesn't help Psycho either. And the window is good. Landon will fall. Astro desperate for a trade. He gets his man. But the flip will go back, and it's been a flip-floppy Sanctuary so far. Ghost will be coming back. Taxied by Massa. Now the big ult fight. Beats, annihilations available for everyone. Window and High Noon to start the fight as well for SSG. Often, Vessler will start these fights with Annihilation if he's got a close corner, and he is close but doesn't quite have it yet. He's going to be looking for it. They're going to beat through first, actually. Counter beat from Astro. Amber window. SSG try and disengage, and again, Spark falls down. Lamp now to save Vessler. He's desperate for healing. Desperate for healing as Hattie barrels down on him. Ghost is there. Really wants to pocket him. They get Vessler. They keep Vessler alive. They kill Hattie for it. And again, Sparker is getting taken out in these fights. Normally, Sparker is such an influential figure for SSG. But not in this map, not so far. They stagger out Landon a little bit. And now they're coming back with just a High Noon. A pivotal fight for ENCE to win. I need to start it, but again, a chance just to disengage. Ghost nearly has this window. Had a lot of success with that first early window, one-shotting Spark. Again, the go-to play here is to get Kai a rail and go for a one-shot attempt with the window. They're going to be aggressive early on here, though. Kai's going to swing towards point as High Noon comes out, so they're going to reposition. Chance to help the Tracer battle, but it's actually Kev who gets the Tracer gap. Now the lamp will go down. Window from Ghost, but he dies for it, but Kai's got the kill anyway. And the DPS from ENCE finding their men. They're going to have to try and touch it, but they have to try and touch through a ram. Spark barreling down on Kai, but no good. And ENCE will tie us up 1-1. And it will be a mecha base to settle it. And what a better way to settle it, but on the most brawly map of them all. This one will be a BAP mirror, I'm sure of it. Likewise, I very much expect Cass as well to be the pick. Kai on Sojourn for now.
You sure you want me keeping you alive?
We'll see if he sticks it.
After all,
A helpful human would certainly be a welcome change of pace.
someone needs to fill this saddle. Hi there.
SimCP outspawn for both teams. Both expected to swap Tracer afterwards. Pivotal round.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Kai will be onto Cass, so it'll be a full mirror. So remember last time it was this mirror. Sparker took Kai's head off immediately. We'll see if the same can be a turn. Slows at the choke. Kai will roll through it. Pressure on him from the left here. Kevson will match her, and it's actually Hattie. Hattie's just been one-bopped in the middle. The lamp does not save him. And ENCE will take all the space. They'll take the first cap. Vessler seeing if there's any more kills to be had, but SSG are out. And they want to come the far side here as Hattie respawns. Slow on the choke again. Doesn't find anything, and it's Psycho. They focus down Kev. It gave Spark an angle on point. They focus it down, and they actually deny the first flip here, SSG. I think ENCE going to have to give it. No Tracer to match. Don't want to concede the high ground. They'll group up at choke. The crucial timing here is Ghost window is so much quicker. So much quicker than Landon. Are SSG aware? Have to deal with his Tracer behind. They're bounding down onto Landon. They just kill Landon again. How have they done that? Pressure on him and Kev will find the kill. And now Kai can just walk forward. Astro might have a hard time getting out here. They're trying to peek to help Astro out, but he's going to have to go the long way, I think. They're still trying to flip the point back here. Psycho stalled it out well. ENCE do now get the flip, but SSG are trying to use that little bit of distraction to walk through, and they have to go back towards the point here. Window in return. There's that quicker window we talked about. So much damage onto Hattie, and Vessler will finish that one. And now they can chase down the rest of these kills. Nowhere for Spark to go. Astro's going to try and respond. Should be able to get pocketed through that one. And ENCE will maintain their hold on the point, but Psycho did such a good job of keeping that point stalled out, minimizing the actual progress they can get. So ENCE still have the advantage here, but they had to use window, so slight ult advantage as we go into this big ult fight for ENCE, but probably still a start with High Noon or window for SSG. And then we'll see who can get the later beat, who can get the later annihilation, how that fight goes. We see Vessler holding the stairs aggressively here as Psycho tries to force point. They're trying to get an angle, but again, Psycho goes down. Kev's got his number today. Didn't see it if there was anyone assisting that one, but it's going to force SSG to take a back step into their own choke. They want to force their way out here. Window to try and bust through. They think they can catch Vessler. Vessler is okay. Magnetic grenade in response. Now the annihilation, but beat not in time to save the rest of SSG. That's a devastating fight. SSG will be forced back to spawn. And they use their beat. They use their window. They've got High Noon and annihilation. But Mass has got the beat to match the annihilation. Looks like they want to try and switch it up, come through top here as well. Vessler's going to race to match it. Slow on the choke as the High Noon comes out. Going to force the lamp as well. Beat to try and go through. They try and survive, but he's just killed Sparker through all of it. The annihilation to try and trade it. Hattie wants to clutch. He needs to clutch. They're low on time, but he only gets one. 90%. They can get a desperate touch, but it's going to be a High Noon and a window to prevent it all. We can see Massa on the low ground as well. Wants to interrupt any touch, and it's going to try and be from high ground. Hattie's desperately coming back on Rhine. They're going for it. Psycho will get the touch. They need someone to take over the touch now. You see Ghost and Kai just backing it up on this high ground, ready to drop the window as the touch comes through. Pressure onto Hattie. Focusing down his shield. He's getting hit from all sides here. Hattie, they lamp to save him, but they can't. They focus him down. They need a miracle now, SSG. It's a spread fight. They're trying to make it a dog fight, but Vestler's run down Landon. Astro, desperate for a kill, but Kai, Ghost, Massa, they keep each other up. And it should be straightforward for here. Psycho can touch a little bit more. But they're massively outgunned. Hattie won't be able to get the final touch. And ENCE take the lead in the series after losing the first round. Play of the game here might be... It was going to be Ghost, actually. There's that aggressive window. Finishes the kill the same time. Same time Kai finds that rail on Sparker. And then just gets to pocket everyone through. Lamps himself. Not the greatest player of the game we've ever seen, if we're being honest. But it works out and ENCE find themselves on top of this series. Now, we can take a quick look at the scoreboard. Before we move on to Hollywood. And we can see pretty dominant scores from a lot of ENCE. We got 35 and 5 for Kev. 34 and 6. 33 and 3. Oh, 34 and 6 for Kai. 33 and 5 for Vestler. They did win the series, obviously, so you expect that. Maybe interesting, there's a bit of a... There's like a sort of 2k or so damage gap for Vestler as well. Certainly felt like lots of those annihilations got really big value. A couple of Haddies towards the end had to try to be used to be clutch and didn't get to run their full duration. Meanwhile, Ghost going toe-for-toe with Landon in terms of damage. Landon and Spark both on 12 deaths. Maybe those were maybe some of the key ones. How many times did we see Spark die before the fight? That's not really what we're used to seeing for SSG. We're used to Spark either finding the opening pick immediately, like he did in that very first fight back at the start of Busan, or finding that flank mid-fight. But yeah, 12 deaths apiece. That's where ENCE have been finding their success. As we get the lobby invite for Hollywood. SSG, it's only a best of 3, remember, so SSG are on the precipice of being given their first loss on FACEIT. And we'll move into Hollywood. Go back to lobby here. And SSG, they have to win this one. Kev now calling himself Sword Madam, which is fine. And all right, what needs to change? What are the problems they're running into? And it has to be to keep Sparker alive. Kev certainly seems to be flexing his weight on Tracer. I think it's fair to say, especially compared to stage 1, it felt like stage 2 for Kev. He still played well. Kev always plays well. But it certainly feels like it certainly feels like Kev wasn't in his same big carry form as he often was in most of his career. But certainly it looked to be kind of back to his best in that one. And the scoreboard is now good to go. Beautiful to see. Thank you very much, Solomon, for creating such a useful tool that can pull all the information directly and keep us up to date live. For discussing chaining the pauses together. Major pauses in FACEIT is we just need to wait for the 2 minutes to tick down. You know how it is when you're you know how it is when obviously you're a slave to the robot, our robot overlords. We have to wait for them to have it tick down. Kev saying Massa's got stuff to do. He's a busy man. Let's get the show on the road. Massa's bevies are getting warm. Night on the town. And we'll wait 10 seconds left and then 20 seconds of ready time. I don't think there'll be too many surprises here, honestly, compositionally wise. Both of these teams prefer to play the brawl where they can. And I don't think anything in that opening map really made SSG think, oh, we want to stay away from this mirror. So I think we'll get much of the same here. Spark sticking to his trademark Cass. And we'll see if SSG can solve their problems. If they can keep Spark alive. If they can try and shut down Kev a little bit more. And Kev will be going Genji, so a different problem to solve here for SSG. Ramshield's traded up a choke. Slow onto the rotation again. Now's that scary peek from SSG. Slow and peek. Forces the lamp out of Ghost. And now SSG want to be aggressive. They've got lamp advantage here. Lander's a little bit further back, but can pocket him through. They are trying to come through this. And Massa's gone behind for a boop. He wants to boop him back in. Too risky from Massa. They lamp. They deal with him. Vessler wants to keep going forward. Trades are good for ENCE, remember. And Kev's going to be looking for something. He's getting chased down, though. Astro's marking him. Nearly has dash back, but Landon and Astro deal with the Kev threat. And now they can help the rest of their team walk on forward again. But look who's lurking behind. Kai's behind. Spark baiting him back, baiting him into the team. And we'll get the kill with a little bit of help from his friends. Landon's going to lamp. For reasons unknown. Maybe a bit of a fat finger. So lamp advantage for Ghost. I don't know if it'll come into play. These windows are coming up fast. And that could be a problem for Landon. I don't know what the cooldown's on. 9 seconds. Has to be careful. I don't know if ENCE know about it, though. ENCE might not know that he used lamp, so... Might just be a more standard window trade as ENCE take the high ground here. Ghost and Kai looking for that peek through main. Ghost going to swing so aggressively, but Hattie's gone behind. Kai's been left behind. Now the beat comes through. They just catch him. Bit of a miscommunication there in the back line of ENCE. Kai was under... Ghost wanted to swing super hard, but... He couldn't. He was under pressure. Astro with a quicker beat. Must have been getting so much hitting. I guess it was when they were in this fight in this corridor. Astro was just getting those big, juicy amps on. Gives himself beat advantage. Catches ENCE unawares on that one. And now, obviously, beat advantage now coming back from Massa, but he's still 30% away. But with no beat, it's maybe a chance for Kev to try and connect this Blade. Now, Blade, one of the trickier ults to get value in, and we've seen Kev struggle with Blades before in the past. But he's looking to go over the edge here. Doesn't need the Blade. Will just take Landon out of the game. Pressure now onto the Ramatra. Comes through. Will dash out against this Annihilation as well. And the damage is done. Astro trying to get a desperate boop into that high noon, but no doing. And he's just done it. Back on that first map, we looked at the scoreboard and the people dying the most. It was Spark. It was Landon. It was nose kills that SSG was struggling to prevent. And we see the same thing here. Kev gets the opening one for free. And they're considering a recontest here. Psycho will get the touch. Hattie's walking forward. No ults on the board. Investor's going to pop that Annihilation. They're going to pop beat as well. Oh my god. SSG are going to lose the fight, but they will be licking their lips at that. They wanted to take one more fight to try and force an ult out because they had the time. And they get 2 for the price of 1. Not just 2. The beat and the Annihilation. Oh, they've robbed the bank here. We saw it a little bit in the R8 series. There was a couple of times where ENCE just pressed all the buttons. And they pressed 2 of their bigger ones there when 1 would have more than sufficed. Now a lot of pressure on Kev now to try and connect this Blade. He's actually far back right now. So they're just going to try and move for payload for first. SSG coming up onto high ground. Slow forces Kai back. So they have to concede for space here. Does Vestal know he gets the memo now? And ENCE will back up to the low ground. Masses manages to get out too. They're going to come forward to this high ground, but they have to be ready for this Kev Blade. Astro doesn't have beat yet. They come up onto the high ground. Lots of pressure onto Kai. Psycho will chase that one down. Hattie and Psycho combine, and now Vestler will be forced all the way back. If Kev wants to, he's still moving point. He can look for trades with Blade if he feels it. If it lines up for him, he might, but he's getting marked by Astro now. They'll swarm over Vestler, and ENCE will take the reset. Onto the high ground. Again for SSG. They've now got Window, they've now got Beat, they've now got Annihilation, they've now got High Noon, they've now got Pulse Bomb. That's all 5. So suddenly this Blade not looking as good. They could potentially open it, try and force the Beat. But it looks like they want to start through point here, ENCE. Just moving the payload. Want to try and bait a drop potentially out of Hadi. But Psycho will be responsible for marking the point. Now it feels like they might be making their move. SSG are going to try and move forward to meet them. Vessler's basing it. He's going to go now. Blade from the back. Pressure onto Landon. Beat and Lamp come through. Kev will regroup with the team. They've lost Psycho in all of this. So now Vessler will take the high ground. A chance for Ghost to drop this window to keep chasing if they want. Hadi is low. He's used the shield. Window back actually from Landon first. SSG. Oh, the deflect kill from Kev. He pops up in the window. And they take Spark's own life. And oops in chat from Crimzo. And now they don't even need this window. They can take the high ground. They can force them all back. And SSG have to disengage. The slow, if they get any stagger kills here, it could be a disaster for SSG, and they'll get all of them. Only Psycho can preserve his life, and it will be a desperate touch for SSG. Well, it's not even going to be a desperate touch. They're just going to reset and spawn. And look at this. All of that for a blade? All of that for a blade. SSG are close though. Ghost's gonna find out. The whole gang's coming around the corner. Ghost has to lamp Annihilation to try and trade beat as well, but they still lose Ghost. They've used High Noon. ENCE have done the classic. They've pressed all the buttons, but they've only traded 1 for 1. Vessler's gonna try and tank that High Noon, but it won't do. Hadi's Annihilation is still going. He's low as well. One more form. Gets a bit more armor. Psycho's made his way onto the Venture as well. Sparker's been left behind though. Slow to get out, and it's messy, it's chaotic. Both teams throwing stuff away. Now no ultimates for SSG for the next fight. Blade and window available. The classic would be to start with a window from Ghost. Nice and aggressive. Kev to finish with the blade. Psycho maybe needs to make the play. We saw him take down Quartz time and time again when he played the Venture earlier today. He needs to do something here to give him a chance. And he's going to burrow in. He comes through the window. He gets Ghost. Combines with Hadi. And that might just do it. They've traded 1 for 1. They need more trades. Not enough, though. Spark is going to... Spark needs to die on point, really. Landon's going to try and live. He has window coming back. But it's going to be a High Noon. It's going to be a Blade. And Ghost should be back quickly on Valkyrie. Can they even touch? Hadi's going to pin out. Going for it. Massive boots him away. Astro gets the touch. Blade over the top. They're holding on. High Noon was used as well. They survive for Blade for now. They will get Psycho. Oh, the lamp's just too late from Landon. They beat anyway. Now SSG need kills. They've stabilized. But where are the kills? They've lost Sparker. Astro's trying to double down onto Massa. But it's just player advantage. Nothing left for Hadi to do. They managed to get the touch. They managed to get the beat off. And now all of a sudden, after a couple of poor attempts on first point, ENCE find themselves with a 50-second time bank. And SSG have found themselves in a couple of difficult situations before against Ataraxia. This might be their most difficult one yet. A map down and a full cap on Hollywood down. The Genji worked wonders for ENCE. There was a couple of ults they maybe threw away more. A couple of fights they threw away more ultimates than they needed. But still, they find a way. And after first point, it was pretty steady pressure, honestly.
Ready for battle.
SSG looking for answers now. Psycho's locked Venture and Spawn. We saw it work on Oasis for him. Something different. Mauga Venture. It's unorthodox. Unorthodox.
5, 4,
Kev knows. And it looks like Mauga Venture will be the play. Kiri as well from Landon. So SSG trying something new. Now Mauga can be very good against Ramatra. Can bully him a lot. Get the other side of him. Shoot him in the back. We've seen ENCE struggle against Ataraxia. Maybe struggle to adapt to a slightly different comp. So we'll see how they do here. As SSG are going to make their first rotation through the alleyway. We're going to come through and start forcing point. A reposition to the cafe for ENCE. Hadi's going to take the high ground. He's on top of the elevator as the slow and tracer pressure comes in. Hattie's just trying to play this off angle here. Psycho's going to burrow in. Psycho's looking for Kai. Can they combine? Hattie's gone in. Psycho's gone in. Drill dash to force Kai out of position, and they get the trade. Vessler's traded Sparker in the meantime, but the rest of SSG, they've rolled out forward. The backline have joined Hattie and Cafe. And it's a party in Cafe. Vessler's going to come up and try and trade him. Astro is low. They're dealing with him. They're all going to turn on Vessler. But Kitsune rushes out so quickly from Landon. He'll die for it, but the rest of his team can keep using this Kitsune rush. And the Malga loves the Kitsune rush. The Venture loves the Kitsune rush. Kev's going to try and pulse bomb because no matter how good you are, it's always important to try and pulse bomb in a lost fight. So, a perfect start. They can't argue with that. Any swaps on the cards? No. The Venture very difficult to deal with. When she burrows underground, then just explodes up and just drill dashes like the Cass or the Bap out of position, it's so hard to deal with, especially when you're trying to deal with this Malga slamming you as well. This part of the map on Hollywood or for the attackers is always tricky though. Always tricky to use this high ground. For now, SSG will just be happy to force point. You see, actually, the Venture's actually really good at fighting the Tracer. You see, Psycho drill dashes in. He's going to burrow out, though. High Noon drop aggressively from Kai, trying to force them all out. And overrun away. Psycho's behind, and Hattie's stomped on Kev's head. They trade 1 for 1. Kev can't believe it. Annihilation by Vessler, but he needs more help. Another stomping by Hattie. He's not scared of this annihilation at all. But the lamp is good. The lamp keeps him alive for so long. Cardiac overdrive again for Hattie. And SSG's new comp is working wonders for him. Didn't use a single ult for that. They're going to have everything. The Tectonic Shock. A very powerful ult. Hard for the backline to deal with. Ghost can maybe avoid it, but much harder for Kai. We're going to see Vessler swap onto the Sigma here. Now, Sigma can be quite good against Malga. Can try and rock him after he's run in. Hattie's been playing aggressively so far. And oh, Psycho's running to Master. He catches him. Drill dash out. Easy kill. No beat in this fight now for ENCE. They have the high ground, but they have the ult disadvantage. Hattie's taken a lot of damage. Has to be careful. Vessler's going to drop now. Window onto the high ground. Beat back now. Cage onto Vessler. Vessler needs help. He's going to Matrix, but Pulse Bomb comes out. Later beat now from Massa back from spawn. Vessler gets the lamp. He's still in so much trouble. He'll get mowed down. Drill dash onto Kai. Psycho's going to burrow after him. Kai's running, but here comes Psycho. Psycho's just zoned him. The rest of SSG are going to force point. 4 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. And they'll clean it up. And we talked about it a little bit on Uncoachable. Venture should not be underestimated. In these engages, we're seeing Psycho the burrow in, the drill dash an enemy out of position. Very effective. The pressure on the Tracer is a lot as well, and Kev's going to swap onto Torb because he feels it so much. Psycho's going to get bashed out, tries to burrow underground from the top rope. He's going to get out as well, gets the shields and regroups with his team. Kitsune rush available for Landon this next fight. Near it comes. Stomp in, but Hattie's going to die to that High Noon, actually. A misjudgment on it. So now no Malga as SSGs keep trying to force this forward. They've got Vessler boots in, they've got Mazza boots in. But here comes Kev for the trades. He's overloaded and he's forced him back, but Astro's got 2. And now here comes Psycho. ENCE are going to have to slowly but surely concede space now as Hattie has returned to the fight. And now that Tectonic Shock is available. Vessler does have a Flux. Ghost has the window. There's a Molten Core and a beat just around the corner for ENCE. Everything will be up. They can stabilize for a bit. SSG have the opportunity to disengage any of these ults if they're too early, but Psycho wants to go in, wants to drop a Tectonic Shock. It's going to be a beat through. The Flux is going to catch Sparker. He's in trouble. Suzu is good from Landon. They piled on a defensive Molten Core. Kev's desperately trying to keep everyone alive, but it's no good. It's no good. Massa will fall next. Gets the beat just in time to Ajax it. Drunk Ajax. Even his own coach has reported the Ajax. Too many bevies. And now, all of a sudden, SSG are in the driving seat. And we talked before, ENCE, when they played against Ataraxia, struggled to adapt to the double flex. Now they've been posed a very new problem from SSG. Can they adapt here?
battle.
Bigger time bank. Only a minute. Obviously, if they can win first fight here, ENCE, you can always snowball it a lot with the overtime fights. Of course, you have to remember it was actually that first fight that ENCE struggled on the most. And interestingly, Hadi has gone back to Ramatra here. Landon has stayed on the Kiri. Psycho's on the Venture, so they're mixing and matching a little bit here. I think Hadi's calling the bluff that they would go Sigma if he was on Mauga, and then he would rather just take a Ram Mirror. So yeah, they're going to see Hadi on Ramatra, and Vester's going to take the Ram Mirror. Kev will be on Genji again. But it is Venture and Kiri still for SSG. Psycho going to try and farm some of this damage. Drill dash back out. And we'll see what happens. Kev is going to go right side. Meanwhile, Psycho's going to harass him up top here. Again, we've seen lots of aggressive burrows. Pressure onto the back line. He's going to go for it now as well. He's looking after him. He's got Ghost. Wants to drill dash him in. Pressure onto him. Just one-shots him. Ghost doesn't even get a chance to lamp. Psycho will trade for it, but the trade is good. Hadi split from the rest of his team now, so Landon's going to TP in, but now he's committed. Kev is all over Landon. He wants that kill. Landon doesn't need any help. Dealt with Kevster himself. Kai and Massa are now on point. They kill Massa. They deny the tick, importantly. And 10 seconds left. Psycho's trade was worth it. Vester's going to have to go ball. We need the rollout here, Vestler. He's not going to get it. I think Kev thought he could maybe get it with the blinks, but no good. No good.
Score 3-3. Switching sides.
And now, this is also winnable for SSG. Also winnable for SSG.
Initiating match.
Interesting to see what they choose to go here. Obviously, the nature is Vessler has to pick a hero out of spawn. Does he start Sigma? Or does he start Ramatra? If they start Ramatra, then Hadi can go Mauga. If they start Sigma, Hadi will go Ramatra. It's kind of a lose-lose for Vessler. The nature of defending. What are they going to choose to do? What are they going to choose to do? And it is going to be Sigma. It's going to be Torb as well. Going to be Torb as well. So a lot of damage. The problem is they have to win so many fights. They have to win them cleanly as well. And you've seen the ability for Psycho and Venture just to get picks. Even that one with Ghost, he gets immediately traded. I mean, maybe if Ghost had got Lamp off, it would have been okay. We're going to take the early damage here. Hadi's actually on Winston. A different look altogether. Are they going to dive it? Have they seen the Torb? Should be aware of the Torb now. So they're going to go dive. They have plenty of time to work with, time to get those ults. Trades are always good. Vessler going to be trying able to farm as much damage as he can. Remember, last time we saw Vessler play against Dive, he was able to trade for backline quite a lot. He's trying to be aggressive here. But now SSG will sweep onto the high ground. Trying to block this rail. Hadi's going to keep going. He's bubble burst, and we all have to get out. Psycho drill dashes back, but will survive. Tricky until they get to their first big ult timings, but Astro and Landon are already at 60% each. ENCE want to be aggressive. Hadi's going to bubble behind him. He's going to get so much cleave here. Needs for Suzu out. Maybe stays a second too long. No, he gets out. Hadi getting so much cleave, and look at these support ults here from SSG. They're nearly there. Massa going to be desperate for this beat in response. He's still 20% away. Astro, meanwhile, he's got it. 5%, and he's ready to go. Happy to take a little bit more damage. Vestlin, he has a defensive flux. Does Astro realize it's so close? I think he does. He's going to be in. They're looking for the kill. All over Kai. They take him. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Defensive flux comes out. They're going to keep going for it, though. All over Ghost now. They do manage to trade it. Hadi's about to have Primal. They've traded so many kills. Primal onto the Torb. Kev's stuck in a corner. He comes everywhere, but in the end, he's taken down. And SSG, it seems like they were intentionally playing for those fast support ults. Got the fast support ults. The beat push sets it all off. They go all in. They know the trades are good for them. No chance to retake with only a tick. We'll see that player for game. I'm not sure who it will be. Will be Sparker on the Sojourn. Getting marked here by Massa, trying to contain him, but the damage is being done behind Massa right now. And Spark's just gonna... He's just gonna take all the cleanup kills. Ajax! There we go. I feel like the Ajax probably a pretty hefty contributor to why that was play of the game. And we'll go over to our third and final map. Tied up 1-1. Will be Junkertown, was it? Do I remember correctly? We're just doing the lineup finalization now. We can take a look at the scoreboard while we wait for that. Obviously here we can see Ghost and Vessler suffering a great number of deaths. Psycho in particular, 30-7. The best in the server. Obviously a lot more variety in the heroes that were being played here. You can see Vessler's got particularly high damage, but obviously got to play against the Malga for a little bit. The Sigma will boost that up. Otherwise, pretty competitive across the board. Pretty competitive across the board. We'll get the invite now. And we knew it was going to be a big game. It was always going to be a big game. It's Route 66 we're going to. And this is interesting because this is the map that ENCE picked, of course. This is the map that ENCE picked. But obviously, they don't have a Winston player available, so they're not going to play Dive. Do they want to bait SSG to play Dive? Is that the idea? We'll have to wait and see. Psycho remains in the roster. ENCE's roster as we expect as well. Kev will now be going underneath. Going under the alias, please res me. Obviously, right? Obviously.
Ready for battle.
I see a few people asking what happened to the Flux, because it did seem to... I think I saw what you saw in terms of a Flux animation started, then cancelled. So I don't know if he just missed it, or if something else had happened. So I'm not sure. Thank you to Sprinkles, MD, for the Prime. Are you a real MD? Or are you just playing as one? Now we move over, and it is going to be Torb Cass coming out.
5, 4,
Torb Cass coming out.
2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Sigma, anti-dive. So they wanted to bait SSG on to dive. And they wanted to bait them. So they could play this comp. Sometimes it seems with a Diva. I don't know if Vessler might swap to Diva for second. We'll have to wait and see. Torp turret in the back. We'll focus down Psycho for now. Psycho could do with a little bit of help killing this turret. An annoying one to deal with. Haddy will join him underneath, and Vessler wants to drop aggressively. Vessler wants to give Haddy no room, but Suzu saves Haddy from the rock, but he's still so low. Lantern TP'd in and used Suzu, so it's Kev with the cleanup. Want to give him no room to move, and this is one of the problems the dive team faces. We talked this from the Twisted Minds POV against SSG. Now, some of these, until you have some of the big ult fights, like the B, the Primal, the Kiri, it can be a little bit tricky into some of these. And it's such a high damage composition from ENCE. It's actually a real problem. Actually a real problem. Just trying to force the payload, but again, so much damage. They're desperate to kill this turret, but they'll get it eventually. This turret is the first initial target. The focus fire, they'll get him in a second. There we go. Turret has been focused down, and now they can go for the next dive. Now on Hollywood, on that overtime round, it was the ult that really opened the door for SSG. The quick beat, they don't have it yet. It's going to be a window back, but Massa dies for it, actually. Psycho's still in, looking for more trades. They do manage to dive onto Haddy. It's a trade now, and SSG actually have the high ground. Landon and Astro trying to keep everyone pocketed. Psycho on one side, Sparker on the other. They're underneath. They're together, but ENCE are low on resources, low on numbers. They're having to back up. They're having to concede for space. Kev needs a lot of help. Post bomb is good from Psycho, and it's the perfect late trade. They're going to have to wait for their Baptiste to come back now. The perfect trade from Psycho. And they'll be forced all the way back. Can we get the touch? It looks like Kev is going to go for the touch. Obviously, no Tracer to get the touch. High noon to swing out. Vesta drops to get it as Kevin's boot back. Now, Kevin letting loose. They do get one trade for it, but it's only the Tracer. Hattie's going to force point with the beat now, and they're just overwhelmed, ENCE. They try to use those ults to come back in. It doesn't work out. I wonder if we'll see Kev swap to Tracer now. If he can get out, he can't get out. So the opportunity to swap is there. SSG did use both their support ults as well, so Massa with that beat advantage. So if Hattie comes in Primals or if Spark starts with Overclock, there is the chance to respond. And Kev will be going on to that Tracer now. On the high ground for now, SSG trying to come out. Oh, and Spark finds the opening pick. Just what SSG need. They'll get to keep this payload rolling. Hattie's going to bubble. Oh, the bubble. Oh, no, it falls through the gap in the bridge. Poor craftsmanship. Doesn't cost SSG on this occasion. Hattie was safe anyway. And SSG have now moved the payload for relatively free. A chance for Spark on the high ground with this overclock. Ghost might window out here. They're being pinned back. Massa has to be careful. He's out. Spark plots his opportunity. They go for the flux. Spark dodges it though, and Landon will survive. So much damage from Spark, but can't quite finish any of the kills. Disruptor shot to kill the lamp. Spark has one more rail. Hattie's going to dive in. Massa's there. Hits the body shot. Can they find the finish? They're all so low. How has no one died on ENCE? How did none of these damage from Spark result in a kill? Somehow, someway, ENCE stay alive. They're not just going to... Everyone stays alive. Landon gets a last-minute trade, but unbelievable. Spark did so much damage. And they weren't able to convert. They commit the Primal into that as well. Vesta's made his way onto D.Va, which I think is a reasonable swap here on this second. Gives them the ability to contest this high ground if SSG try and stage up there. A chance to help Ghost out of that one. But they've only got Pulse Bomb and High Noon, and they have to try and withstand here, ENCE. They have to try and withstand the Kitsune Rush and the Beat Push. Well, that's going to help. That's going to help too. Kevin Kai, how many times have ENCE been in a pickle? And it's been the DPS duo, Kevin Kai. They just win duels. Kev finds Spark isolated, takes him down. Kai finds the headshot when they needed it most. They're still at a huge ult disadvantage, don't get me wrong, but ENCE have bought valuable time. Look how far the cart has rolled back as well. Hattie's going to have to try and set it all up again. SSG coming underneath. Vessler harassing. Kai peeking aggressively. Magnetic grenade. Slows down Hattie for now. Now they have the space to maybe go for their play. Hattie's going to come in the beat over the top. Hattie doesn't get the beat. They keep going. High Noon's going to get full Matrix. Vessler eats for Pulse Bomb. They're in trouble. Pulse Bomb in response from Kev. Also doesn't connect. ENCE have stabilized, but Hattie is still coming. Kitsune Rush to keep going forward. They get Ghost. They're all over him here. And they convert the push. They convert the push. They will be able to clean up Vessler. They should be able to clean up Kev without trading as well. But look how far the cart's moved back. So now ENCE, they actually get a retake because the cart has moved so far back. And they're coming back with beat, bomb, window. 50 seconds left on the clock, and ENCE have set themselves up a holdable situation. It's going to be overclock and primal, the ult's closeness for SSG. But can they even get to them? Will ENCE give them the room? They have to go a little bit quickly here, so ENCE don't quite have the ults yet. They have to be careful. Vessler will match Hattie's movement to keep his team alive. Magnetic Grenade forces Hattie all the way back, and Vessler will be happy to chase him all the way out. Vessler happy to keep going, happy to kill Landon. He's got the bomb if he gets in trouble, but Vessler's not in trouble. Everyone else is in trouble. 2 for Vessler. They force SSG back. It's a desperate reset. SSG come back. They'll have that primal. They'll have that overclock. But they've got to try and get through the beat. They've got to try and get through the window. Last time Spark did so much with the overclock, but they couldn't find the kills. Hattie and Psycho moving underneath here. They need to get the touch. Psycho's going to move it first, and all events will reposition to the back of this point now. Sparks come in from the high ground. Hattie is on point, has the primal if he gets in trouble. Pops for primal now. Massa will get the beat off in response. Astro's boop super far in. Goes with the window on a high ground, but who's he shooting? Oh, he's found Astro. Astro will go down. Sparker tries to respond. Vessler's all over him, though. Hattie's killed one more in the back. Psycho can get another touch. Spark kills the baby, stops the remake. Have they done it? Hattie needs help on point. Psycho and Landon are there, though. It should be enough. A High Noon. Going nowhere from Kai. Pulse Bomb from Kev. He thinks he can win the 1v3, but the Pulse Bomb misses. And SSG clutch it out. SSG clutch it out. Good primal. good overclock. And it was a difficult fight. I do wonder if ENCE really needs to concede so much space. And now, a ram swap for his third point, and ENCE wants to come behind. Hattie's already on Malgavo, and Vessel is getting beamed from all sides. He'll fall quickly, and the rest of ENCE will be forced to die on point or get out. A swift death on point. We don't have a lot of time to work with here, SSG. They do have a lot of ults to work with. Double support ult. ENCE were hoping to take a quick fight. I think probably mostly to force out one of those quick support ults. We do see Vessel swap. Hattie's already out, though, not going back to counter swap again. Happy to take this one. Especially with the support ult advantage. Has to be a good disengage here from ENCE. They don't really have the tools to fight on this Kitsune Rush or fight into this beat. They get the cart halfway. ENCE really can't let this payload move that much further without getting an ult out. Here they come through. Hattie will go barreling through. Catches Ghost. Ghost has to lamp the beat over top. The lamp is still there. Kitsune Rush to keep going. They're all so low. They've used both support ults, but they have taken everything from ENCE. They'll force them back into spawn. The cart will be coming down. Maybe there's a chance for ENCE. It did cost both support ults there for SSG. Now they only have Pulse Bomb. A cage and an overclock slightly far away. The timing for ENCE to hold is now. They're trying to come out. Rockets dodged. Landon will be forced back. Pulse Bomb has forced for Lamp. They're all over point. Massa with the beat back. Pulse Bomb to Hattie as well. High noon from Kai. Finishes 2 and ENCE. It should be enough to get the hold. In the end, using both support ults for the fight there was too much of an investment, and ENCE had the ult advantage coming back, and they do stabilize, but still 71.04 meters. Still a pretty reasonable time on Route 66. Still really reasonable. And now, ENCE's turn. In theory, the dive on defense should be a little bit easier. You've got more high grounds to work with. You can do cycles. You've still got to be very careful. If anyone gets punished by any of this, or caught, or your Winston gets caught before you get your main ults up, it can still be devastating, and it can sort of snowball against you rather than for you. And it will be Winston, Kiri, Lucio from Space Station here. Wasn't a full cap, remember, so we'll have a winner and we'll have a loser at the end of this attack. No chance for overtime. And we'll see what they choose to do. Might be similar where they're happy to play the Diva. I mean, it didn't look too bad. A lot of those fights on second especially were winnable. Hattie's going to bubble in spawn to see the comp. And it will be the usual from ENCE. No Diva for now. Oh, they need a pause. Vessel leaves the game. Obviously, there's no admin in the lobby, so yeah, leaving is the best way. Crimso says he's raging, which is why they need the pause. Kev asking why they're being DDoSed. Crimso says mouse problem. And says it should be fast enough. Psycho desperate for the FACEIT League win. So we'll get a brief respite. A brief respite. Before we get back into this. And we're going to see, yeah, we're going to see the Ram BAP cast come out. So all about, can SSG farm their ults without anyone getting caught, without anyone dying? Super important. Super important. So many things that can go wrong. You get caught by the slow, you get caught by the magnetic grenade. All of these things can happen. And you need to avoid all of these things. to stay alive long enough to get your ults. You saw it on the attack. You saw it on the attack that actually... That was the main win condition. It was the main win condition on the Hollywood overtime. Again, these two support ult fights, they always win them, SSG. But the problem is sometimes you have to use both in one. It's not the cap fight. You don't get the cap. So... We'll get the unpause now. We're coming back in. Vesta will rejoin. Obviously, no one had ult charge. No one had ult charge. So there won't be any major loss. We'll get Ram as well. And it'll be slow and steady through the point here. High is weak. Payload's moved about halfway here. It's a Tracer battle underneath. Both will recall at the same time. And ENCE are going to use his opportunity to rotate. They get through, actually. Haddy's trying to play it slow. We'll regroup with his team on point. The rest of ENCE trying to come forward. Massa has to be careful for boot back. Ooh. Maybe a chance, but Haddy was half HP. Didn't want to commit. And ENCE are going to use his opportunity to swing top right. They want to force him out. Want to force him all the way back. Boop out, but now ENCE have the high ground. SSG are the ones hiding underneath. Haddy's going to look for the dive. Psycho trying to come up as well. ENCE have rotated away again. Massa tries to get the boop, and Vesta will be able to stabilize. This payload is still moving. 75% on the beat. Still 20% for Astro to go. They need to take a fight before this. They're forcing the point. Magnetic grenade on the high ground. Haddy's going to jump behind. Vestler's going to turn on him. How much damage can they get on Haddy? Not that much, actually. They lamp Vestler to keep going. Vestler's solo. He really wants to go. Haddy's being pushed off the way. They do kill Haddy. Vestler is low, but now the beat is coming through from Astro. They've got it for a while. Vestler is solo. The window comes back, but not before he goes down. Ghost avoids the pulse bomb. But Astro and Landon, they've killed him in the back. Kiri ult to make sure of it. It costs them both support ults, but they get the hold. 2 minutes in as well. And that was both support ults. So this is some of the problem SSG ran into on the attack. When they use both support ults, they do get to win the fight, but then they're a little bit stuck in the next fight. Haddy's still 30% away from this primal, and they can swing with high noon here. They're going to clear Haddy first as well, pull down to the high ground. Here's that high noon. All the space now for ENCE. They're going to force the payload. Pressure onto Astro here, and Kev wants to chase that one down. Kev will chase him all the way out, but Landon will peel. But now ENCE are forcing the payload again. They've got Annihilation and Beat to fight on point. Haddy's going to look to trade with this overclock. Massa's going to beat everyone through. Now the slow ones of the backline. Astro is under major duress. The Annihilation to finish it. Vest will return to point, and there's nowhere left to go. Haddy's traded one. He can get a touch here, but they need to find more kills. Spark is still on this high ground. It's not quite done yet. Kai will die. Haddy gets Suzu'd. Still a problem, and this Ramacha might just be too much. It's just too much health, too much damage. They can't clear him, and ENCE do get the first point. 3.5 minutes left on the clock. We'll be taking this initial high ground on the other side. Kev's going to be stopped on point, though, by Psycho and Astro, so they need to come back and help Kev's get his point moving. Slow will come to try and clear him out. Kev has to recall. Vessler had to drop to clear him, but they can now get it moving. But Haddy and Spark going to take this chance to take a peek. ENCE are okay, though, and they keep swinging backwards. Pulse Bomb wants a point. Vessler needs help, actually. Psycho thought he could force the kill, but he was wrong. And ENCE will keep this payload moving. But now, there we are, that double support timing again from SSG. They'd love to win it with one, but they've shown previously they're not afraid to use two. Kitsune rush to start it here. Window will be used in response. Haddy is awfully low. Just get focused down. They trade Ghost for it, though. They're all over him. They're all on the high ground here. Vest is going to try and clear him off this high ground, but he's very much fighting an uphill battle here. They do get pulled down. Spark's going to slide back up, and Vest is having a really hard time moving up, clearing this high ground. He needs to find a timing to go up, but they're all just peppering him back. Now the beat from Massa. Now they want to move. Astro has it to match, though. So again, ENCE have to regroup underneath. A step back. Back on Kiri is Ghost. They're still all underneath here, ENCE, and SSG are going to keep them surrounded. Finally, ENCE can take some space onto the high ground now. Slow onto Haddy to chase him as well. 90% on this Primal. Haddy doesn't quite have it yet. Landon's CP to him, but now that means the Annihilation is going to be used. Landon escapes to the high ground for now. But they're low. They're separate. Haddy gets the Primal, but not quite in time to pop it. And now this payload is moving, and ENCE are plowing this one forward. Landon and Spark are on the high ground, and honestly, ENCE's comp can't do anything about this, but the touch is going to be awkward. Psycho can get the touch. Here comes Ghost. Here comes Massive. They want to force it. Suzis are exchanged. Overclock from Spark, and Ghost TP's out. Spark is far away from the fight. He can't do all that much, and Massa and Ghost will come back down to point, but there's a Primal on point for them to deal with. No ults from ENCE and Haddy. There's so much damage there. Vessa's got one on point. Haddy dies for it, though. They were all so low, they had no ult. Spark's able to trade one, Psycho gets another. Psycho needs more help. Spark and Psycho versus the world. It's just Vessler. Kev is still there. Kev trades one. Kev and Vessler do it. Oh, Kev on a sliver of HP just when he needs to be there. Him and Vessler force it over the line. And 2.5 minutes to finish it. Haddy will go Mauga. Vessler's already gone Sigma. Is Haddy swapping again? No, Haddy is out. Psycho is on Venture. Kitsune Rush available for both. They want to take an early fight here. Haddy is all the way behind. He's going to be lining up this Stomp. He's coming behind him now. Kai doesn't know. He finds Kitsune Rush used defensively, and Spark's going to die in it. Haddy's going to get deleted as well. Landon held on to this Kitsune Rush at least. And Astro's going to have to go die on point. So now they have the Kitsune Rush advantage here. Astro's narrowly behind on this beat as well. So they have the double support ult advantage. This is the big one to stabilize. If they can stabilize here, they might be able to hold. 1.5 minutes. Coming up this left-hand side. Kai might start with High Noon. Rock. Blocked by the slam. They come flying in. Defensive beat comes out. High Noon as well. Forcing Haddy all the way back. Takes half his damage. They're trying to rotate away, but Vessler still on the Kitsune Rush. Will be blitzed down. They have to touch the point. They deal with Kev still trying to C9 them. And they force him back for now. 1 minute, 10 seconds left on the clock. It could still go either way, but crucially, look at the ults for SSG. They've got the beat. They're going to have the Tectonic Shock. And they're going to have the Overclock. They've got the ults to hold it here, SSG. They just need nothing to go wrong. Vessler's going to have the Flux. Not too much to pair with it. Kev obviously has a Pulse Bomb, so you can never underestimate him. We'll be coming through this right-hand side. Psycho's matching him, though. Looks for the Pulse Bomb stick. Doesn't find it, though, Kev. Trying to come up this left-hand side here, ENCE, but Haddy has a chance to stomp. They've taken some of that early space. Kev on point. Overclock in response. ENCE will just peek it for now. Haddy with a chance to keep going if he wants, but playing it safe. Vessler now has this Flux. Astro has the beat to make sure they're all alive, and Psycho has his Tectonic Shock to win the fight. He's gonna burrow in as the Flux comes in. He's all over him. He drops the ult. They just need kills here. Psycho will decimate the backline. 20 seconds left. Now onto the Sigma. They've got the kills. They can stagger out Vess if they want. If they can stagger Vess, it'll be crucial here. 10 seconds left on the clock. They had the ults, and I think SSG have done it. It's going to be a last desperate touch. Can anyone even get it? They're coming down main. Ghost is going to fade for it. He can't get it. SSG, hold on. They remain unbeaten. They remain unbeaten. They had the ults to win it in the end. Those last couple of fights particularly tricky for ENCE. We'll get the Kai play of the game here. Nice 2-tap onto Landon. That next kill will be finished as well. And this Tracer kill will be finished off as well. Not all that, I'm sure something better must have happened in the game, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And SSG remain unbeaten. We can take a look at that third scoreboard here. I think, where was it won and lost? There was so much back and forth, honestly. So much happened in the series. We'll take a look at the third round scoreboard. Fair to say, Vessler was 17-3, Kev was 33-5. Decent eliminations, obviously, across the board, really. Quite, I mean, the Route 66, it came down to a last fight, right? Support ult value was pretty high, I think, throughout for SSG. Don't even know where I'd put player of the game. Maybe Psycho, right? Psycho started off that big play on Busan. The Venture looked pretty good. Crucial pick on that overtime Hollywood. in general, the venture caused him huge problems. I think, yeah, I think Psycho player of the match. I think that seems the most reasonable. And yeah, they just ran out of ults towards the end. Just ran out of ults. I think maybe you can make the argument that, especially when you're playing into like a Kiri Lucio comp, they both have very strong support ults. As such, you really need to get value out of your High Noon and Window at some point, just to try and even that value out. I mean, that's maybe some of the problem ENCE ran into as the series went on, as the series went longer, or as we got deeper into the map, you know. Also, it must be said, that swap on Hollywood to the Malga Venture comp worked out pretty well. Worked out pretty well. Let me see if... Oh, Chrissy will do it again, but... Yeah, it worked out pretty well there, honestly. Really shifted the momentum of that series because it felt like it was all ENCE all the way after that Hollywood attack. So that change of comp changed the shape of the match entirely. Suddenly they're solving this different problem. Then they go to Route 66 and we have to deal with the dive. And again, they mostly dealt with the dive. I think I will be getting Chrissy at least for a little bit. He said quick. So we can do that. Hello, hello. Congratulations. Hello. So, initial question, you get the draft you want?
Kind of, I think. I had to be brave. I was going to pick Midtown, but I told myself, no, follow the plan, you know? I kind of wanted something... I wanted maps 2 and 3 to be maps where if we needed to fucking, like, dive or do something that wasn't the mirror, that we had the option to, you know? That was, like, I was obviously aware that, like, in scrims, they'd been pretty good against us, so I didn't want to, like, ride or die on the mirror necessarily, or at least have, like, the option to swap. If it was Midtown, maybe it's really hard to play, like, some of, like, the Winston or, like, Malga comps there, so that was, like, the logic.
It felt like the series were maybe about to get away from you after their Hollywood attack. They full cap at like 50 seconds. Is the Malga Venture something you had in your back pocket, or was this just like solving on the spot?
I mean, we've played it a little bit in scrims. Like, we've experimented with it. Like a few times we've been doing it. Like these type of comps. So we kind of just like stole the theory, like what we'd been doing, and like we'd been doing it with like Trace Adventure a little bit, but I think actually the Sojourn variant is pretty good against ENCE. But it was like mostly like just on the fly. I think it was like Hattie who made the call in the end, so shout out the big dog.
Yeah, well, it felt like it didn't just... Obviously, it helped in the Hollywood, right? But it also felt like it actually then just changed the momentum of the series as well, because suddenly ENCE aren't just like, oh, we've got them here in the mirror, we can win this if we play well. They've got all these other problems to solve.
Yeah.
Were you a bit surprised you then got taken to Route 66?
I can't remember what their other option was. Junkertown was maybe their other option. So
yeah,
I would have thought that they would do Junkertown, but you know, Crimzo in the draft, you can always rely on him to. He's always got one blunder in him.
So then, yeah, we go to the dive, and I mean, it's neck and neck, really. I don't know. It felt like either team could have won it. Maybe you just had like. Maybe ultimately, you know what they always say about like Kiri and Lucio, like the ults are just really good if you can get value out of them. And if you don't play those heroes, or if you don't play the Kiri specifically, you need to get value out of Window and High Noon. It felt like there was no real Window or High Noon value, so maybe ultimately you converted most of your support ult advantage fights.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like their comp is good, and obviously we play it a lot too whenever we can. But I think that there is like some maps where like you can abuse it a little bit. Like the map feels like I honestly, to be honest, like Route 66 was like super fucking close, but actually it was like kind of a miracle it was close in my opinion. Like our snowball on second, we had them like absolutely like dead to rights, and somehow like 3 people just like click our heads at the same time. But actually in any ordinary world, I think we have a 5-minute time bank going into third, or maybe not 5 minutes, but
yeah. We watched,
and then even that fight on second where we had like we were like above them in that like like gas station on defense. Like I didn't know how the Ram lived, how the Cass lived. Like they were all dead, but none of them died.
Well, I think there was for one where, maybe this was for Forward Hold you're talking about, where Spark overclocks, and we were watching it from Spark's POV, and I was like, oh, everybody's won. In a moment, SSG are going to have 5 kills, and it'll just, you know what I mean, the team's going to collapse. But somehow, every single member of ENCE survived on, like, 50 HP, and then they were just fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so too. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think we could have, I mean, it was all really close. Like, I think any map could have went both ways.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. It feels like I feel like it was probably like a big performance from Psycho across the board. Like lots of big moments on Tracer, lots of big moments on Venture. Actually,
it's pretty strong, right? The Venture.
It's actually so obnoxious when you're playing this brawl mirror, and then he burrows underneath, and obviously you can't do anything because you can't shoot through the ground, and then he fucking pops up, and then he just drill dashes whoever, your Cass or your Bapin.
Yeah.
And then what's the count? Like it happened to Quartz as well, right? A lot on Oasis, and it was just like, is Quartz feeding, or is like, what is he supposed to do? You know? And it obviously worked your Hollywood attack, right? Psycho just trades for Ghost, and then it's like, oh, it's fucked from here for ENCE, you know? I don't know.
You see this J-Mac tweet? This is actually such a banger.
Wait, where? Oh, wait, is it in?
It's in your Twitch chat. Okay, that's actually so funny, because I remember when he did this, and I thought, this guy's on fucking crack cocaine. But he was so right. He's actually fucking based, like 2 months ahead of the curve. Oh my god, that's actually such a fucking legend move from him.
You know when, I think I've said it to you before, when I was like, oh, when people always try and predict metas, they're always just fucking wrong, you know? Nobody is really able to predict this. It's too hard, there's too many variables. But I guess if you're J-Mac, you actually just know. It's like,
honestly, this guy needs a job right now.
Someone get him, just even if it's just like a consultancy gig or something, you know? Like, oh, J-Mac, what's the comp going to be in a couple of months? Oh, this will be it, mate. Don't you worry. Good on you, J-Mac.
You see, my misinformation's finally been exposed by Reinforce.
I saw someone, because he linked clips, I was like, I can't watch the clips while casting 3 matches in a row. What's he saying?
No, he just calling me out because the plat chat story I did, I guess, was like
hyperbole,
slightly exaggerated.
Because I saw him tweet, and I was like, the problem with, because people were linking it to me, and I was like, the problem with me responding is I've not actually watched plat chat. So all I have is like one person says this is true, and then the other person says this isn't true. But one of those people hosts a podcast with me and the other doesn't, so I know who I'm believing.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally what I said was right. I just maybe like, you know, when there's like like the movie is like based on real life, and obviously like in the movie based in real life, like they're fucking like flying out of like crashing aeroplanes and stuff. But like fundamentally what's been said happened. That's kind of what it was, you know. Like it did happen. It just, you know, I had to sell the story. It wouldn't be very fun if I explained the actual situation. Everyone would be interested. Have
you seen the film The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
Nope.
So it's like it's a new Guy Ritchie film, and it's based on true events in World War II about this undercover mission between a group of like unlikely heroes. But the Guy Ritchie version is just like Hollywood. Like it's just fucking what's his name, Superman walking in and just killing like 80 people. You know? And it's like, well, it probably didn't happen exactly like that, but they did still do the important thing in the war that they did in the film, you know? It's like that still really happened. It just maybe wasn't so glam.
Yeah, that's exactly what this situation is, you know? But it looks like Jake and Reinforce are both come out, so I might finally get my fucking plat chat rivalry. I might finally get my war.
You've literally been poking that bear since day one. Unabashedly, just coming up every week. They'll bite eventually. Obviously, they're established talent, you know. They're well rehearsed in front of camera, so it takes a little bit. It takes a little bit to get it out of them.
They gotta play by the rules, but soon. All right, I gotta run for scrims.
No, of course. Enjoy.
I'll see you later.
In a bit. All right. Nice of Chris to join us. Nice of J-Mac to predict the meta for us as well. I think, yeah, ultimately, that series, I mean, it was super back and forth, right? The Hollywood really felt like it'd go anyway. It felt like that change, that decision that Hattie made, that call that Hattie made, ends up being pivotal, really. very much reset any sort of momentum or anything that ENCE had going after that Busan. So, yeah, big congratulations there, obviously. Big win for SSG. They keep themselves... We can take a look at the top of the table. But SSG are going to cement their place there. Obviously, remember this was... I think it was a week... I can fact check it for you. But yeah, it was actually a week 6 fixture. Remember, we're actually in week 4 now, but it was a week 6 fixture. Now, they pulled forward because during week 6, ENCE and SSG are both going to be in Dallas. So they don't want to play the FACEIT match because they'd both be in Dallas having to play it on the Netherlands server. So both on very high ping. So, 11-0 for SSG. ENCE going to also have played 11 games, find themselves 9-2. Twisted Mind's 9-1. That game in hand obviously gives ENCE the chance to go above them. I should say as well, before I forget, thank you Lord Kuma as well. And thank you Goobler for the tier 1 and the prime respectively. I do appreciate the support. Very much. And then afterwards, what's really interesting, I think, with this is as much as maybe ENCE and SSG are going to find themselves as the top 2, depending on how Dallas goes and how many spots are up for grabs, this battle for 3rd place, especially if it's only 1 place, is actually massive, right? Twisted Minds, Ataraxia, Peps, all of these teams could probably finish in any order, realistically. I mean, Ataraxia have even shown, obviously, they can actually take series off ENCE. So... really a lot to play for. I think this is going to end up being a very interesting finish. A very interesting finish. To face it, to see how these teams battle out, and these sort of back and forths between each team, I think will very much be a good indicator of what to expect. I think as well, what's maybe nice is we saw a few different looks from ENCE, a few different looks from SSG, and they actually all looked pretty good, right? As maybe if you're an EMEA fan, looking to see how the teams will do against Dallas, against the likes of the best North American teams, the best Korean teams. Obviously, something like this is maybe a pretty good omen. Both teams playing well, both teams having various pop-off moments. It seems like both teams have a few unique looks to take to Dallas as well. So works out for SSG. Thank you very much. Oh no, I got a pop-up, so I actually can't see it. Hold on. Let's see. Thank you very much, not Benibla. I appreciate the prime. And thank you everyone who was watching. I'll end the YouTube recording here, so obviously if you want to watch any more of the games live, I will keep doing it on my Twitch, so you can come and watch it there. Otherwise, there'll be plenty of other VODs going up across the weekend for all the FACEIT action, so check all of that out. Thank you very much.